Alrighty then, it's time for a Dr. Mundo game. I was finally able to secure him. Which one? Because as you guys know, he's pretty much perma-banned right now, or pick against you. I finally got a chance to pick him in the jungle as well. I was able to pick him before, but I don't want to because I didn't want to top lane as him. Either way, the same kind of runes and masters as before, but I'll go into that in a second. Just gotta point this out. Now, I usually hold on to my smite until I'm pretty secure that the enemy's not really going to invade me. But look, Lee Sin, for whatever reason, decides to just kind of invade me level 1, so my teammates just turn around and beat his ass. Apparently, he types in all chat, right? I mean, afterwards, he types in all chat that apparently his teammates didn't give him a leash, and he was pissy about that. But honestly, you should be able to jungle without a leash. This is kind of why I do all my jungle videos without a leash, because sometimes your teammates are complete assholes, sometimes a leash doesn't work out because you get invaded, something or whatever. Right? You should be able to be self-sufficient enough to clear, just so to make sure you don't get screwed over by something as simple as your teammates being assholes. Either way, attack speed red, attack speed quints, armor yellow, magic resistance blues, and 12-0-18 masteries. I'm taking Grasp of the Undying, of course, and the rest should be very understandable as to what Mundo would want. Either way, as you guys know, Dr. Mundo was one of my favorite champs to use even before he was buffed. When he was given the headbutt component to his E, the little chunk damage, I figured he'd become very, very strong, especially in dueling. The meta back then, though, was still not that supportive of him because you had a lot of crowd control and you got a little bit of a mid to late phase kind of game. But now, since the meta has switched to the late game, I mean not the late game, that's stupid of me, to the early game, Dr. Moon was excelling. Remember, a lot of people do not value his ability to quote unquote triple dip or double dip in his gold, whatever you want to call it. I say triple dipping because, oh, by the way, I know I got my ass kicked right there. I say triple dipping because he makes gold so valuable for him because he buys health, gets tanky, buys health, increases his damage, and buys health, increases his sustain. It's like every piece of item that he buys that just increases his health gives him multiple stats to his combat. Like, just becoming tanky makes you a lot more dangerous, especially once you got the headbutt. So every little piece of gold you get, every little shred of gold you get, is going to be put to better use as Dr. Mundo than it would as other champions. So Dr. Mundo gets to ramp up very quickly and use that power to dominate the early game. Of course, you can't dominate 2v1s, but you get my point, right? Just early game prowess of Dr. Mundo is insane. Like, your first levels aren't as strong as you'd want them to be, but say you buy like your first item, you already start seeing the massive difference in power level. By the way, here's a big thing. I'm like, here, Victor, have it, and he's just kind of spamming his portal. I don't even know if he was trying to be fancy or something, but that's something you don't do to the jungler. You don't make him wait a blue buff when he's trying to donate it to you. You just take it and leave. So he was making me wait, so I just took it from him as like a big fuck. Either way, Dr. Mundo, I knew he was going to be strong ever since he got his headbutt thingy, but I didn't think he'd be like, I didn't think until I saw that the meta was going to be fast that Dr. Mundo was going to be this contested, this powerful. And it resulted in him getting nerfed a few times, yet he's still remaining as one of the top junglers. It's likely not going to change unless Riot decides to nuke defensive items or just nuke him in general. He's always been a strong early game champion, and in a strange sense that a lot of people don't get, he's he's actually very safe of a champion too. I mean, he's one of the very few junglers in the game who have poke, or a poke as strong as his. So if you want to kite, you can kite as Dr. Mundo, even though you're tanky enough to just absorb most of the blows anyways. So if you're careful enough, if you're careful enough, or you're not ready to fully commit to a fight, you could just whittle down opponents. Of course, though, as you can see, there's certain really fed opponents that I should probably be respecting more in this game. So they're pretty much nuking my ass every chance they get. Nonetheless, as I get more items, because I keep sitting on tons of gold, As I get more items, it'll become a lot more difficult for them to kill me. Also, I'm pretty sure some of you are wondering why I took Exhaust instead of Flash. Now, you guys, those who have been watching me play Dr. Mundo before know I like taking Exhaust in Dr. Mundo, period. In this case, though, I justified it more to myself because I figured the enemy team, aside from the Fizz, is going to have a difficult time getting through me and Rammus. So the idea I had is that the only one to truly be a threat would be Fizz. So I want to clip him with Exhaust as he tries to dive through and maybe protect myself or a teammate during any team fights. That's pretty much the only reason I took Exhaust. It came into play during 2 ganks, but it didn't have as much of an impact as I would have hoped. Maybe it saved Victor's life during that first gank I used it, but still. Either way, this is a... yeah, I don't even gotta explain. Just Caitlyn in general shouldn't have been there, and then she just eased herself closer to the tower and dies. Her excuse was, "Oh, I was trying to be fancy." And, well, you know, trying to be fancy gets you killed and makes you lose games. Either way, like I've mentioned it before, the Dr. Mundo is pretty much one of the least graceful champions in the game. He's pretty much just not pure brute force. You just kind of walk in there, hit people, and you just absorb all their blows. You're not really a tank in the sense of a tank, you're a tanky champion. There's quite a big difference. When it comes to controlling the fight or protecting your teammates, Dr. Mundo isn't exactly someone who can achieve that very easily or at all. The only way you can control the enemy or have any influence in that in the fight in that way is by becoming a very dangerous threat and being able to give an opponent a hug of death, in which they can't remove you and you're just pretty much there ass blasting them to death. So, like, I try, even during this meta, not to pick Dr. Mundo unless I have a tank. I mean, he's strong on his own to just kind of snowball a game, but I'm still that kind of person who's just kind of a little bit too worrisome when it comes to the performance of some teammates. I had a fan stream snipe me. He's a Rammus, but since I've seen him play before and at least I know that he knows that I try to be careful and whatnot, I trusted him playing top Rammus, even though I'm mostly skeptical of top Rammuses anyways. So I relied on him to be my shield here, my initiator, my preparer, and all that other good stuff. By the way, as you can see, this game is rather close. The only problem is that my team is going to scale so much harder than theirs. Lee Sin, for all awesomeness that he pulled off in the early game, isn't going to be able to keep up with me as the game goes on. Rammus and Victor, they get very strong around the mid game and late game, especially Rammus, considering he actually gets farm in this by being top lane. Also, whatever reason, they decide to completely focus me. I mean, I was almost gonna die. That bar ultimate saved my life, but even then, by focusing me, they pretty much burned absolutely every other threatening ability they had, and as a result, it got pretty much almost well, I think it got half of them killed. They only received 1 kill out of this, and it's because Lucian arrived late. But damn, that was worthless. You don't do, especially if your opponents have an invulnerability of some kind. In this case, bards. You don't focus the heaviest person because you need to burn so much to try to kill them. This is kind of like the golden moment for Dr. Mundo. This is what he exactly wants, or hell, what a lot of fat champions like Volibear and stuff really want. They want you to burn all your shit on them, because even if you killed them, even if you made sure that Dr. Mundo or Volibear died without doing anything, oftentimes the amount of effort it took to kill them is going to render you so weak against his remaining homies that a 4v5 isn't going to matter shit. So, that's actually what I'm going to aim for in this game. Even though technically Dr. Mundo can do a lot of damage and be a very dangerous threat, I still want to emphasize that if your teammates are showing that they're at least competent enough, I mean, sure, the Caitlyn's suicidal and very, very silly. I can see that at least she's trying to stay behind people sometimes. All right, so we're the next team fight that is going to happen, I mean, just watch the positioning of where I'm at, where my teammates are, and where the enemy is. I actually have to say that the enemy fought this perfectly as well. I go in the front line, I absorb everything and just go straight for them. They put Nasus in the front and Lucian in the back. Me and Nasus absorb so much goddamn damage, so does Trundle once he returns, that nobody but except me dies. And the only reason the enemy Fizz is going to die right now is because he fucking decides to go gung-ho. Watch him. He tries to get a kill against the Rammus, but even if he managed to hit Rammus with his Q, he just knocked himself up, put himself to die anyway. So that was just dumb. Both me and the enemy team had the same idea of using the tanks as walls. And also right here, what the fuck? He just abandoned Bard to try to take the dragon. It's like, oh, the dragon's at like 500 health. Well, fuck you, Bard. Bard, I was like, why did you guys leave me? That would have been such a risky dragon play. Oh my god. Anyway, I know. Again, it's still winter. I still have a clogged nose. Once you get older, you can't really heal as fast. It's rather silly at this point that I'm not able to get over it. Either way, we kill the Nasus. We go after the Trundle. The Trundle's very difficult to kill. I absorb the Fizz ultimate. Rammus gets killed because the wall holds him down next to the tower, and then they just gun him down. We trade 2 for 1, but then Caitlyn gets a little too close and gets chunked down. They give chase, but they're not able to catch us. Unfortunately, the Bard, putting himself in a position to try to protect Caitlyn, gets himself killed. But fortunately for us, the Lee Sin decides to just face check this damn corner and die. So it's a worthwhile trade-off. I mean, the Bard was already low health and almost useless at that point because he was going to die. So we pretty much got we traded a full health Lee Sin for a low health Bard who would have wanted to go home anyways. So good for us. Either way, do I recommend you play Dr. Mundo? Of fucking course I do. It's Dr. Mundo. I mean, even if he wasn't that strong, I would recommend learning him because he teaches you a lot of smart things about conserving your health. Which even though I said that, I kind of failed a few times during this game. So it's kind of difficult to predict when you should use that ultimate. And either way, right now in the current meta, he's really damn strong. Strong early game, easily becomes strong with just a few items, and it's pretty much brain dead to use for a lot of people. So there's a reason why he's become very prevalent, is because almost anyone can just pick him up. As long as you can aim your Q and smash your E, then you're golden. So yeah, definitely recommended. His win rate, I believe, is still the second highest for all junglers. Right now, Volibear is beating him, although Volibear kind of is the same thing. I would still recommend Dr. Mundo over Volibear because I'm pretty sure Dr. Mundo has more staying power on long term. Either way, the game is pretty much over. It's like we're just kind of waiting for them to do something silly, such as get caught by Bard's ultimate because Lucian wasn't careful. So we catch Lucian, and the fight becomes absolutely chaotic. Like, there's a fight up here, there's 2 fights down there. Fizz and me are kind of scattered to the wind. We're trying to figure out which targets to focus on, and I keep going between Fizz and then Nasus because I know my teammates had Nasus under control, and we just pretty much wiped them all out. Lee Sin and Trundle managed to survive. They're not going to be able to do anything here. I'm going to use my body to block Caitlyn because I know the Lee Sin really wants to kill her. As you can see, by his position, he's trying to get an angle on her. So I decided to use my body as a shield, just trying to angle myself as to where he is. I absorb the blow too, and he doesn't achieve anything and only gets gunned down. Although even if he managed to kill her, I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have been able to protect the Nexus Towers anyways. So with that, Dr. Mundo and friends win. As I said, I fully recommend playing him as he's very strong in this meta, and it will probably stay strong unless Riot decides to completely shift the meta times. So hooray for Dr. Mundo and friends.